Hello, 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 hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Traders Arena. Let me just make sure my YouTube's going. Yeah, it looks like it is. Streaming live right here at the New York Stock Exchange close every Tuesday, talking about crypto a bit. This is Kevin here, and welcome back if you've been here before. And if you're new to the channel, then Crypto Traders Arena is we're an online trading community on Discord. And we do a few shows for YouTube and anybody that's interested in hearing what we have to say. One of those is today on Tuesdays I talk about crypto. We also on Sundays, Paul and I, our founder Paul J and I talk more altcoin investing on Sundays as well. That's at 16 UTC every Sunday, where we walk everybody through our kind of our simple long-term altcoin investment plan. So check that out too if you want on Sundays, and you can go back and watch the recordings too. And of course, we have like a full trading plan and spreadsheet available in our Discord community for that if you want to follow along. Today, I just kind of just sort of freestyle on whatever I'm seeing that's interesting. And of course, crypto's kind of coming off right at the moment. Doesn't look great, but we could talk about that. And I have some requests that I was going to look at. And then if anybody has any requests now in the chat, just throw them in there and I'll take a look at those charts too. And yeah, we were talking today actually in the New York session. We do meet every day right around the New York Open for live trading. And today we were talking about Ethereum kind of hanging on by a thread, and it looks like it has now kind of broke down today. And Bitcoin's not looking so great either, and mostly red on the screen for altcoins when I was just looking at them a minute ago. But zooming out just a little bit really quick, I'll just kind of in the general sort of broader risk on picture, like we've been following the DXY a lot, just trying to wait for some sort of pivot here in the DXY to see if it's going to roll over a bit and maybe give some just give the green light to like the risk on market, like stock market indexes and crypto to move higher again and see if they can pivot. And so where we're at right now is the DXY looks pretty damn strong still, and it is starting to get above the trend line here now. I mean, we're in a very good location for that rollover, and we're just kind of waiting on seeing if this is a lower high here or if we're going to keep grinding higher and maybe actually even change the trend here a bit. Right now we're just getting above resistance, and now we're sitting at 78.6 basically right now. So does look pretty strong. They tried to break it during the London session overnight for me, and couldn't, and then it just kind of FU'd the lows, and now it's shot up to a new high today. So no breakdown yet, and that kind of, and also RSI didn't get overbought here yet, so we definitely haven't broken down. In fact, it looks pretty strong to the upside at the moment. So that's sort of in line with, well, so there's that. The DXY hasn't rolled over, but we did get 3-bar fractals on the S&P and the Nasdaq, and technically the Russell 2000 too, but they don't seem to be holding much water at the moment. So it's still just a question of, does the DXY roll over, and do we pivot here with this, overnight during the London session? Again, they ran this thing up and actually, confirmed this 3-bar pattern here. So we do have like a pivot 3-bar bottom working. But then as soon as by New York, basically kind of bulls couldn't stay in there, and we're just selling off again this afternoon. And we haven't hit 13 EMA resistance here on the ES, but we did hit it on the NASDAQ. So, I mean, point here is there is a potential pivot here. I don't know if you watched on Sunday, I was talking about this too, and even yesterday for our premium stream, but we are trying to base off of support here. This trend line is the trend line going all the way back to the old top here, and then also just kind of like kilos here, and then we also kind of dipped into this gap here, and we're trying to bottom here, but you can see how the Nasdaq just came up and hit the 13 EMA here and got rejected today. That's pretty common, of just kind of showing me that the you can see even the moving average is pretty wide right here. So we're pretty deep into the like sort of medium downtrend that's been created, but we this rejection is never a good sign. So I don't think we've fully bottomed yet here, and really a W would be nicer anyway. So coming down and testing these candle body lows here would be a nice place to maybe see a W start coming in. However, I still think these gaps are just big magnets. So I think we're going to get washed out one more time, take these lows out and come down and fill these gaps, both on NASDAQ and ES. So like, yeah, on the ES, you can see we didn't even get close to the gap. The NASDAQ did just dip into it for a second here and bounce. So anyway, long story short, I mean, maybe the ES gets up into the 13 like the NASDAQ, maybe not. But either way, it kind of looks like this is like a dead cat bounce here. And we'll probably come down and fill this gap before we truly base here. And then, that gives the dollar, DXY has time to still keep pushing higher. It doesn't look like it's topped out yet. So, so we're just kind of waiting here. I will add that I did start kind of hunting swing longs on stocks again. As sort of was on pause here as we were just kind of dumping and melting down. But I'm looking for some sort of pivot here, and I think like I actually did put a trade on today. But like I said, I think we'll probably still come down and fill this gap. And of course, if it gets a little uglier, we have to come down against a support here down at the trend lines on 200. So it's still basically the same story as recently that I was talking about on Sunday. So I'll just leave it at that, saying, it's like, where do we pivot here? Some hopefully, or not necessarily hopefully, but if you're a bull, you'd hope to find support and a decent bottom coming above the trend line here and above the 200. But as we'll see in crypto, like Ethereum lost that trend pretty strongly, and Bitcoin's threatening to lose it. So anyway, really, it's just, again, like when the pivot, we're probably a little early for the pivot is all I'm really saying. Same thing for the Russell down in the lower left. We just came down against 200 support and not even as well defined of a fractal here. So just, it's just kind of trying to base. We are actually, we technically haven't hit oversold on any RSIs here on any of these here. So just pointing down still, while the dollar points up. And crypto just looks really sluggish. Not looking great today. Bitcoin, it really, I mean, the basic trend is very much being tested here as we're just sitting on the trend line off of the W bottom here. And we've lost the 200 pretty substantially. So we're just trying to see if we can find any support here. This is the head and shoulders neckline, 25,200 levels, super. Talked about this on Sunday too, just that line through the neckline of the head and shoulders. And then, it's been support and resistance here a couple times. So clearly that's like a level, but we're just fighting to stay above it right here, with no real sign of a bottom here. I mean, RSI got very much oversold here, but of course OBV's got nothing, no W's or anything. And just, you can see how heavy it looks. And with this tail here, that's probably got to get eaten anyway. Like, this is a pretty common pattern. You see like a capitulation sort of dump and then the bounce, and then it just sort of like slowly grinds its way down and fills that tail. So like they'll probably FU that low at least if there's if they're going to bounce it somewhere around here. I wouldn't be surprised if they take it back down and FU that low. Of course, then you start M's over here and stuff, and that's the sort of rollover, party's over in this uptrend for the moment, in my opinion. At that point, we'll have broken structure here. And then it's just, we'll probably come deeper into the lower part of the range, but we're not there yet. It's still holding on here for the moment. And so we're still making higher highs and higher lows. But it doesn't look particularly great. And then, of course, as long as the stock market's looking sluggish, it's going to be hard to get all these things pointing higher again at the moment. But hey, people in the chat, Stefan and Paul and Constantine, and good to see you guys with some regulars here. Let's see, what's my point? Ethereum looks worse. So, I mean, Ethereum has very much lost the uptrend at this point. And it looked like it just wanted to puke out earlier today, and it certainly has now. But unlike, I mean, similar to Bitcoin, we lost the 200, but you can see how the uptrend line on Ethereum is actually up here. And I suppose we could maybe draw in here, and we could argue that the trend is, I haven't really done that lately, but I suppose I could have a trend line off here. I don't know why I don't have that drawn on there. That's actually the trend line. So if we look at it from that perspective, we haven't actually lost it yet. But man, the third tag of this is like when you're kind of looking at stocks or crypto or anything, and you're trying to pick a bottom here, like in a cycle bottom, it's pretty common to see this trend line get tested on the third, a third time here. It gets established on the W and then gets tested. So it's like almost like now there's a magnet right here in the reload zone, down at like 1400 for Ethereum. So you could see the big ass M too here. So like, unlike Bitcoin, we actually made a new low here. We lost this kilo. So now we have a big M. So the uptrend is off now. The higher highs and higher lows is broken. We're below the 200 and below this trend line, and then of course this is, I guess, still the uptrend line, but it's just like I was saying, it's kind of a magnet. So I don't know, maybe we have to come down and test this somewhere. It might be farther along down the road and higher, but I think in general, which kind of brings me to the next thing. I had a question about Bitcoin that I was going to get to here in a minute, but it's more sort of like a long-term question. But I suppose if we just kind of, well, I'll leave Ethereum with this. I mean, you could see it's very similar to Bitcoin. It looks like it's dumping a little harder, and this tail is still very much open here to be eaten. So all the way down to 1544 from 1628 now is just sort of like asking to be eaten. The only thing kind of like for the bulls that I can even see here is a potential W in RSI, and RSI is so oversold that like maybe we catch some sort of dead cat bounce. But any bounces up into this 13 EMA are just going to be dead cat bounces up into the resistance here, and we might have to roll over again. So just a long story short is there's no bottom here. And even if we look like a 4-hour chart, it's just M's. Like a 1-hour chart is just M's. There's still no, there's a big M there and then just puking out. So hard to step in here and get long. And even if you're just kind of thinking about this tail here, it's pretty tricky to get long right here against this tail. I mean, you have all that downside risk. I don't love that. But anyway, so I'll leave that there. And then, so basically the prognosis is Ethereum doesn't look great, which obviously is going to trickle into altcoins, probably not looking super great. And they're also pretty red here. David's saying, I've heard you're doing TRI Wednesday show in the past. How long have you been? Yeah, I mean, I used to talk mostly stocks on Wednesday. Funny enough, on Wednesdays at TRI in the past, I would talk about stock picks. And that was, for a couple years I did that. And then I also worked teaching the level 1 as a TA with Grim and Joshua for, I don't know, quite a few terms, like maybe like 6 terms, or I think maybe even more, a couple years, basically. I worked on the level 1. So yeah, which a lot of the tools I use, to be honest, are just level 1 tools. So I'm just basically a level 1er. Stefan says someone used to say short. I don't know. I don't know what you mean, but yeah, today shorts. I saw you guys were actually shorting small coins earlier and saw some pretty big wins. So nice one, you and Carol. And anyway, getting off a little track. So yeah, I did teach a TRI for a couple years till about like a couple years ago, actually. So yeah, definitely have I've definitely worked with a lot of people on trying to learn how to trade, and I kind of like it. It's fun. And I suppose that's the, really when I do these shows, I kind of think of them more as I'd rather just kind of talk about things from an educational perspective a lot of the times with these YouTube shows. Really just trying to express the process of being a trader. So I try to, like a lot of this, it's really repetitive. Like I go through these things every time and it moves slow, but like the intention is to keep everybody sort of on the same page. And then we all just kind of, you just kind of get involved with the process, and hopefully you can really just apply this to your own plan. I'm not trying to tell you guys what to do specifically, but, the guy in general saying shorts. Yeah, now I know what you're talking about. Yeah. We used to have a person that would just pop in the room and just say short all the time, regardless of like whatever else is going on. But yeah, David, I was actually going to get to your question about Ethereum, which kind of goes into what I was, what I wanted to. I kind of got off track there for a moment and lost my train of thought. But just wrapping up Ethereum, you can. Oh, okay, now I remember my train of thought. So anyway, I mean, what I was going to get into is, so we've been talking since January on our other show. We've been, January was back in like here. So like we broke out, like just using Ethereum as the example here, we broke out this nice W bottom here back in early January. and crypto enjoyed went into like what I would call it. I mean, it's like a medium term to maybe longer term uptrend, but it's also sort of a dead cat bounce, right? Because we went through this huge bear market, and this is the first real sort of bottoming uh, action that came in since like a brutal downtrend. And so like this was sort of like kind of like a dead cat bounce up to 38.2s, which actually didn't get hit on Bitcoin, but just to use Ethereum again here, 38.2 sitting up here at like 2,400. Bitcoin, it's at 35K. And really, basically, any move up to 38.2 could be considered a dead cat bounce if we're just talking about like long-term sort of bottom picking trend identification. We'd have to think we're still basically in a dead cat bounce, but nonetheless, we put that bounce in, much like in 2019, sorry, back here, we put the W in, made a nice strong bounce, dead cat bounce, and then we had to range for a while after, which is kind of what I'm getting at. So since January, we've been basically talking about 2023 being like sort of a bottoming year, and kind of looking much like this here, like this is a bottom here, right? We went through a brutal bear, and then we had to just kind of grind. You can see the range is pretty wide. The Ethereum range was all the way from 90 or like 100 basically up to 350. So it's pretty wide range, which crypto loves wide ranges. But the point here is, this was sort of what we've been expecting to happen this year. And so up till recently, like with Ethereum, the question is like, okay, so we went into this uptrend here, 38.2s are up here at 2,400. Did we have the gas to get up to 2,400? And up until like just recently, we kind of, we had an uptrend established, and it was likely we are going to get up there, but it's kind of looking like we're not. And so, maybe we don't get our 38.2 tag here in the dead cat bounce. But the same thesis still applies where, we are expecting this sort of like wide range here, right? So if we're rolling over here, then like, how deep do we pull back before we set up, another like sort of medium term rally and potentially a bull market, which truly wouldn't, I don't think we can truly call bull markets until we start getting like, a serious uptrend breaking out of this range at this point on Ethereum. And so I think what I'm getting at here is it kind of looks like Ethereum ran out of gas. We didn't get up to 38.2. So now we just have to go into like hunting longs mode, see where the next bottom comes in. The uptrend's over. This short-term uptrend here is now broken. Doesn't mean we can't still bottom out here against this trend line and start over again. It's just, I would consider that a new trend, because by that point, this 200 moving average is going to sort of curl over, and we're going to have to set up again, however we do, and break through it to set up another trend. Which gets me to David's question. That's a long way of getting to the question of like, he asked me specifically, and I'm going to go to a clean Bitcoin chart actually, but let's see, what did David ask me specifically? He said, so can we chart the biggest shitcoin ever, Bitcoin? Which I think is funny. Yeah, we can chart the ultimate shitcoin. And then he asked if I would just, at this point, would I just buy levels blindly, or am I going to wait for W's to, So I assume what you're asking me is like, what do I think, like, as like a buyer of Bitcoin, assuming I am a buyer, where do I think the next opportunity to buy Bitcoin is? And that's a good question, just to kind of talk about the sort of the process of, every time we look at any of these requests I look at, every time somebody asks me to look at something, I actually just do the same simple thing. It's the same every time. It gets almost boring. And so it's like, if you don't understand my process, then it probably wouldn't my analysis won't make sense to you. So that's why you got to learn, if you want to do this, you have to at least, if you want to, say that like, the simplest forms of investing would be like dollar cost averaging, as I can't speak. That would be like the simplest way to approach something, and then the next simplest way would be trying to nibble at bottoms and either sell half on a double or somehow have some sort of price target in mind for selling at the top of the range, buying at the bottom of the range, selling at the top of the range. That's sort of like easiest way to invest. Number two after dollar cost averaging, and you kind of need to know these basic tools to understand what I'm even saying. But once you learn them, it becomes a lot easier to determine, at least if you're buying at a reasonable place. And so I kind of was going to just use Bitcoin to show my process really quick, but also just pick answer your question here, which like really to get into my process here a bit. Of course, like there's if you're trying to pick bottoms, and so my whole thesis here, or I'm basically saying how do I pick bottoms? Like this is a quick tutorial on like trying to find a bottom in an asset. It doesn't really need to be Bitcoin. It can be anything. But if you're trying to sort of play a cycle of an asset, like in this case, Bitcoin's been quite cyclical in nature for its lifetime. It's followed this kind of almost scarily followed the 4-year cycle, but it's gone through this process of bottoms, big rip up bulls, and then horrible bear markets, and then bottoming cycle again. And so like first and foremost, if you even want to be a buyer of Bitcoin, you'd have to ask yourself if you're a believer in, you have to have some sort of conviction, right? If you want to buy this thing here, you have to believe that Bitcoin's not going to zero, which I already have. I can't tell anybody how to have that. Like you have to figure that out for yourself. But like once you kind of are at a place where you want to buy it, and I will add with Bitcoin too, real quick. I mean, just because we're going to talk about Bitcoin right here, but you also have to ask yourself like what kind of price target you're gonna, like how much. What's your conviction based on like for how high do you think Bitcoin's going to go to $1 million a coin? Do you think it's going to go to 100,000? Because like my first answer for Bitcoin, I'm not personally like just trying to load up on Bitcoin here. I have Bitcoin holdings and I'm cool with that. And I actually think there's better opportunities in the rest of the crypto market in terms of like banging out like above 10xers, and I think Bitcoin's like a reasonable 10xer probably. So, you got to figure that out for yourself. So it's like I kind of want to take riskier bets in the crypto market and look for bigger than 10x gains. And so, and like Paul's saying in the chat, 100K, like I do think 100K is a reasonable number for Bitcoin to hit going forward. That's like breaking the highs. But I'm not the kind of person that's going to be making like $1 million calls and stuff. I just don't really find that to be very beneficial to me. But I do think there'll be altcoins that go 100x and stuff like that. So like, I'm not like, all I'm really saying is I'm not like all like trying to load up on Bitcoin here. In fact, I might even be more interested in buying Ethereum, to be honest. But that's based on my personal situation. Everybody has to have, so maybe I got a little off track there, but what I really wanted to just get across is just the idea of like reasons to take a trade. And like, when I'm looking at something like this, like, do I have any reasons to buy Bitcoin right here at 25,000? And how would I, what are these reasons, and how can I quickly just learn a few tools to determine them? And most of you guys are going to know this shit. Obviously, I'm talking to kind of like newer people too. The people in this room might know it, but it might be helpful for you to just hear the way I explain it, because like, I think really, if you're trying to build your conviction for buying Bitcoin here, you have to also first figure out what kind of trader you are. And let's just assume I'm a long-term investor. And what sort of tools am I going to use to build my conviction? And I'm just talking technical analysis right now. I'm not really getting into fundamentals. It's just like, can I pull up a chart and how can I like find some reasons to get myself involved in something, and really, I have some reasons in mind, and really I'm looking for like independent reasons and types of reasons you could choose. And really, like, I think like location is always the first reason. That's why we use fibs. Fibs are usually the simplest way to to determine trade location, to figure out if you're even in a reasonable area to even be a buyer. And so that would be like one reason, like, and maybe you're a one reason buyer. So you just need location to buy Bitcoin. That's all. You already know you want to own it, and you just want to make sure you're not chasing the market and you're buying in a reasonable place. And so you just grab your fib tool and draw the range. So like, of course I'd do that first here. And I'm just gonna pick. I personally like to use the real bottom here. So like, there's this low from COVID, but that I prefer using the actual W back here. It doesn't change things much. That's just me. And so so one reason trader, maybe you're gonna buy. And this, I am getting to David's question here. I'm probably dragging on a little bit too much, but I just want to make the simple point of reasons. How many reasons do you need? Because you really shouldn't need to listen to me. You should really just be able to figure this out on your own and decide, like, am I like a knife catcher buyer here? Like, do I want to just buy Bitcoin at or below 61.8? So of course your first fill would have been here at 28,000 and you would have went heavily underwater for a while. And then you would have barely gotten to above water here, and now it's crapping out on you again. So you wouldn't really be in a great position. 61.8 is very aggressive place to be long-term buying. So like, but you're just basically taking one reason. And so we could, and this is of course TRI, Brian Beamish loves his reload zones, and like, I learned them from him, and really it's like probably the most important tool. I mean, fibs are the most important tool, and then his approach to taking this sort of reload zone idea is probably the most important thing to learn when you're trying to buy altcoins. And you can see that, basically if you bought anywhere in here, it's not that bad. Like, even if you're long from 28,000, that's not the best place to be long from here, but it's not that bad, especially if you're kind of thinking 100K Bitcoin, which is like, so we'll pretend we're going to say 100K Bitcoin, which I think is reasonable. It's not really, it could be an ABCD actually right off of I mean, even if we took, either low here, but just, I bet you ABCD comes right up to, well, 85, 82. So if this is the bottom, say we're saying look for 82,000. So we're, if you're buying anywhere at 28 and below, you're making at least one double. And then, that's not the greatest trade in crypto, though, to be honest. Again, like, this is the thing, is like, is a 150% gain in crypto that good? I love saying that, because 150% gain is awesome anytime, but I don't know, in crypto 180% is kind of like, you can do better than that. So that's kind of getting into I'm not really, I don't know if the trade is in Bitcoin really. And I mean, if you don't have any Bitcoin, and I'm sort of a Bitcoin maxi in the way I think that everybody should own a little Bitcoin. If you're in crypto and don't have some Bitcoin, I don't know, but that's me. I mean, I've also been around a little bit longer, so I'm not buying $30,000 Bitcoin. So I can't make those decisions for you. But I will say it's not really the best trade in crypto going forward. It's like, there's going to be a lot of other trades that do 50x or 100x, or, at least 10, how many percent. I remember I was talking about this, but a person I know did a study on, in 2017, how many coins doubled and how many coins tripled and 4x or whatever. He did this whole spreadsheet on the whole market, and like, it was like almost every coin doubled, and then the amount of 10xers was insane. It was like a lot of them. Don't know if it's going to be like that again, but I'm guessing, I'm thinking there'll be some 10xers in crypto. So that's like my first part of the answer to Dave, is I'm not really looking to buy Bitcoin here. I'm not really that interested in buying Bitcoin here. So I'm not going to just like buy levels here, but that's me. But anyway, I guess I'm probably going pretty slow making my point. Jesus, I wish I was, so I'll try to make my point faster. My most basic point is, you have to figure out if you're a 1 reason trader, a 2 reason trader, a 3 reason trader, or a 4 reason trader, or a 9 reason trader. I don't know. Like, it's something has to tell you when to pull the trigger, and only you can really pick that level for yourself. And you can only do it through learning the process and following your process, and like, I don't know. Like, how many people in this room right here have a written down trading plan to buy Bitcoin? Like it'd be funny to see like how many people are even working from a trading plan in here. There's not that many people in here, but I hope most of you are because I recognize just Paul. I'm just kidding. Uh, so step one is work from a trading plan, but that's a funny question. And to be honest, I bet you there's at least one person here that's not. um, Make and respect the plan, probably. Yeah. Anyway, you got it. So anyhow, getting back to my point about reasons, just buying levels is a one reason trade. That's location. You're buying location, and right now, you could argue that we're in a reload zone. So I can't really fault anybody for buying. But remember, I said I think 61.8 is kind of regressive. So here we are buying. You're buying up here when Bitcoin looks like hell, and clearly there's some open air down here. So that's one reason, and maybe your reason was 78.6, and that was a fucking good reason. So the difference between buying 61.8 and 78.6 was clearly there's a huge. I mean, that was the difference between banging a double out on Bitcoin, or just from here. And to be fair, I guess I was talking about Bitcoin doubling from here, but I mean, right now, truly, we're the bottoms are at 15,000, so a 10x would be 150. I suppose Bitcoin could 10x. I'm not saying it's not gonna. But anyway, so anyhow, I'm basically looking for three reasons in my altcoin trades, right? Because I'm looking for location. The second reasons are usually indicator confirmation of some sort, which I've been using OBV. We can use anything. I just have found that I just have narrowed it down to OBV, trying to simplify my process. And so I'm just kind of hunting for OBVWs, bare minimum, good location, and then market structure. But right here. So anyway, we got we have okay location on Bitcoin, but that's a pretty dangerous place to be buying Bitcoin. So I wouldn't fault anybody for like maybe dollar cost averaging all through here if they really wanted to, just taking small bets per week as long as we're in a reload zone. Like that could be a simple trading plan for Bitcoin that would probably work out where you're just going to dollar cost average below 61.8. And so at that point, you'd be turning you would have been still dollar cost averaging almost through all of this time, except for when we poked higher. And remember, I do think we're gonna, Bitcoin's gonna make some sort of low here, and we don't know where that is, but I do think we haven't, like I was saying earlier, we haven't quite killed the idea of getting our 38.2 tag, which is up here. That's that 35,000 number. That it's technically 36,000 really is the 38.2. But remember, like my head and shoulders target is 35, and then 35 itself is a big round number. There's a lot of reasons why I thought we'd maybe get up here, and that's not off the table yet, but it certainly is not looking great right here. We haven't lost this low yet, so we're still making higher lows. But I don't know if, like I said on Ethereum, it's off the table on Ethereum to get 38.2 for the moment in this current trend. It needs to like set up a new trend. Point being, we're going to probably bottom out somewhere in here. It's like, where's that going to be? And so I would have to, read. Anyway, I'm still kind of talking about the past here a little bit. Like, I'm the first thing I'm going to do in all these names is draw my fibs off of the old cycle and just see, I want to see that we're in reload zones below the old cycle for starters, which Bitcoin already had, and then had this dead cat bounce. So what do you do now that we're in the dead cat bounce, which I think is what David's question really is like, what do we do now? Like, how do we, now that we've kind of sort of broken the bear market, but kind of running out of steam in the dead cat bounce. So anyway, I'll get into that here, but I did want to add that, of course, OBV is my second reason. So that's like an indicator confirmation reason that's completely separate from location. So that's two reasons. And then the third reason is market structure. So, so I'm personally basing my like altcoin buying plan off three reasons. That doesn't mean other people won't just like knife catch, which I would call knife catching, like just buying 78.6 right here with no structure or no indicator confirmation. One reason only, the location buy is basically a knife catch. And there is a place where I would do that here, especially once the bull market really starts, or once we have more like sort of a more of a bullish sort of feeling in the market. I don't know if whatever you want to call it. There's no bullish feeling in the market right now. Even through this, I mean, we were very much uppy, but it wasn't like the public's piling in and everybody's talking about Bitcoin. So I'll be more likely to knife catch once things are a little bit more uppy. But I don't know. So right now, like, where would I? The question I've just taken way too long on this, but the question is, where would I buy Bitcoin now? And I just have to draw my reload zones now again. And as a buyer, how can I find 3 reasons to be a buyer here? I can't. Location sucks. We're basically at 38.2 of the rally coming down now. So I have to let this even fail first. And I can draw my box down here too. So I can get an idea really right away with location, and David's question is, would I just buy like a location on Bitcoin right now? And the answer is just no, really, in my opinion. Like, I mean, I can see why anybody that wants to buy Bitcoin that doesn't have it could start nibbling here once we get down there. But me personally, I'll probably patiently just wait for a W to come in and wait for OBV to turn. And right now, like OBV's just, you can see how like just OBV's not W'd out right here, right? It was like, I mean, we technically W'd with the original bottom, and then we did start making sort of higher. We made a higher low, but then we made a lower high and a lower low, and now we've made a lower high, and we're pointing down, maybe making a lower low. So momentum's down on OBV, and you could even argue we have now divergence potentials here. So like, it's not a surprise the top would, a top would be coming in now here. As we made a higher high, OBV is now making potentially divergence. It's not in divergence yet. So that's a bearish thing, right? So I need to see at least a W here once we get down into reload zones, which we're not anywhere close to yet. So I guess I don't even know if I'm getting to the question the right way, but I certainly have managed to be rambling on for a while. But so okay, going back to my analysis, every time you guys ask me to look at something, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to draw my fibs here. Well, I'm going to first draw my fibs back here, and I'm going to see where we are in the cycle. Bitcoin's not looking so bad in the long-term cycle. We're down in below 61.8. But then I'm going to, we put in a bottom. If you didn't buy that W, there was a legitimate, we did have a trade back here because we had location down at 78.6. And then sure enough, a W came in here. So there was a indicator confirmation basically on this bar. So it's kind of tricky here because we're confirming right there as we were breaking out. So, but you could have bought that breakout. And you could have bought the retest, the Wyckoff check, which really didn't check the W. So it would have been, that was a hard place to buy with this. It was a 200 period moving average tag perfectly. So if you had a trading plan to do that, that would have been a little different. But so it's a little tricky to just buy this W with the indicator confirmation. But it could have happened, especially because it's a weekly chart, so you could have been watching it here. But now we're just pointing down. So, I think, I guess I like the idea of buying against previous W's. So I could see hitting that level there at 18,373 if we get down that far. But I'm not going to just like go and blindly hit these levels. Me personally, I don't think there's any reason not to. If you want to buy Bitcoin here, those are good levels, way better than buying up here where it's, up at 38.2 and looks horrible. And so, Greg's saying, or Dalmuti's saying he doesn't think the bottom's in. And I guess that was going to be my next thing, is I actually think the bottom is in, but I could be wrong. But we'll see if this low holds here at 15,500. I can only, I don't know what's going to happen here. And we could dip lower, but I kind of think that actually we are going to bottom in the reload zone here. But that's actually getting into that's just getting into sort of, well, just guessing really. Why could, what reasons can we people want to say like, oh, 12,000 or 10,000, or people love throwing out numbers on Twitter. But we we have zero information to base that off of. I mean, 88.6 is down here at 10,800. So I mean, we do like 88.6s. So yeah, maybe. Yeah, I know you're not giving a number. You just say you don't think the bottom's in. I'm just saying people like to throw out numbers, and I don't. I was kind of gonna. I was just really saying that I don't like doing that. Really, to me, like we like to think markets range most of the time, or we know markets like to range more than trend, and I think we've established a pretty decent bottom here. So until we lose like these reload zones and lose this low, I think it's for me, I'll just kind of keep thinking range. So I'm thinking we're going to base somewhere in this area and maybe higher. And that's why I like to talk about like the trend stuff, because maybe we were going to keep higher here. We're starting to lose the current uptrend, but we haven't lost it yet. So we could just turn around and start grinding higher again here. And we might have to start this reload zone process over again. But I think like in the bigger picture, it kind of looks like we might be rolling over here, and we're not going to get that 35K. So like it's kind of like now we wait until the end of the year, things go down in the dumps, and then probably next buy opportunities down here somewhere. Whether you wait for a W or whether you wait for one reason, two reasons, or three reasons is my only point. Me personally, I'll probably just wait for three. And then in general, I'm also not trying to buy Bitcoin so heavily, because I do think there's better opportunities in some of the other altcoins. Del Moody's saying if 38.2 isn't tested, then I don't think the bottom is in. Yeah, so you're saying to the upside, if we don't hit 35K, then you think we roll over deeper. And yeah, I mean, it's funny. These are all just that's why we all I mean, it's funny. There's a million ways to look at this, right? So we all have to kind of figure out on our own what works for us and kind of stick with it. It's like sort of like that's the building conviction part. You can only build conviction once you've like experienced what you're looking for, or whatever. So, and of course we could all be wrong. I mean, I'm sitting here getting on these shows probably sounding like an idiot and probably be wrong a lot. I mean, I was pretty hard. I mean, I've been talking about this 35K area, and just, that was where I thought we were going. And I think we still could maybe rip up there, but it doesn't really change that much for me to be wrong there. Like, it's okay. Like, it's not like, I wasn't even necessarily trying to, be right. I'm trying to just frame an idea. But I think the most important thing was like, could you recognize that we were in an uptrend through here and maybe take swing longs and stuff in crypto? Or we banged out a shit ton of doubles. Hell, I got a lot of doubles off through this. And so like that's kind of where I'm at right now, is like, well, okay, maybe we don't hit 38.2 and we have to come down here. Now's the time to start maybe thinking about buying altcoins, but accepting that from here 26 down to 20 is a pretty big area, and during that time altcoins are going to get crushed as Bitcoin comes down to reload zones. It's probably you'll probably see a lot of altcoins come off like 50+%. Yeah, Stefan saying he's wrong 35 to 45% of the time. Yeah, totally. Hell, with my day trading, I'm wrong more. I'm more of like a 50%. Like when I scalped the Russell 2000, it's like 50% is my win rate. So, I'm wrong a lot. But, with long-term, it's harder. Long-term shit's hard because being wrong might take years to figure out. So it's like you kind of have to just, and I suppose that's what I'm really getting at here, is you have to figure out what works for you to step in and buy here. So if you want to buy Bitcoin, I just gave you 3 simple reasons to hunt for. And if you stick to all 3 of those reasons, you're probably gonna do a lot better, and it's like, the more reasons you use, the shittier Phil's probably going to be. That's like the price versus information risk kind of stuff. Like, yeah, if you were just stepped in and bought 78.6 here, then you were already long from 17,000, and then you didn't use any other reasons. And then if you would have waited for this, you might have missed my trade because the W actually didn't confirm in OBV until until the breakout candle. So you would have either had to chase the market up here or hope for a pullback you never got. And I know a lot of people that miss it. Was like that was the whole fuel for this trade, is that people didn't buy the bottom, and so then they were just chasing the market up. That's like what a dead cat bounce kind of is, right? It's like sellers stop, and then the bottom buyers are long, but then everybody else is chasing in late and pushing price higher. And it just didn't want to pull back. Like they gave you that one chance there to buy, but really there hasn't been a chance to get long in this last rally. So yeah, you can either knife catch and take less, have less confirmation and get probably a better fill, but you'll probably have a lower win rate, and you'll have more that don't work. And then every once in a while you'll catch the bottom here, or you could wait for more confirmation and probably have a higher win rate, but miss more trades. And so that's really my only point here is, are you a 1 reason trader or a 3 reason trader? And how do you fit that into your plan here so that you can come out ahead? And the only way you can figure that out is by doing it. I don't know any other way to like, me personally, I went from being a knife catcher because it was very profitable in 2017 when everything was just like, I basically walked into this bull market here where you could get away with just altcoins would pop and then they would come back down to 78.6 and you could just hit that level. And then like a week later, they had already doubled again. And then I moved more into like being more patient. Actually, I started, now I kind of fall into like, I'd rather wait for the bottom to come in and then pay a little bit more of a premium to not have to sit on shit. Because sitting on altcoins is pretty painful. I still end up doing it. You can see all the red here and like, anyway, that's a long ass way of just saying, I guess I'm not going to knife catch really in crypto right now. But I've said this before too, like my plan specifically allows for knife catching once we're in a bull market. Like, but here early in the kind of accumulation year, I actually would rather just wait. And so that's kind of why I'm always talking about, OBV W's and then market structure W's. So, geez, I don't know. That was 47 minutes. Sorry, guys, if I'm just wasting time here. I feel like I've just kind of been rambling about this sort of idea. I really want to just wrap up the point that like this sort of idea of reasons to take a trade and how you have to sort of figure out those reasons and figure out how much confirmation you need to get into a trade. And for me, it's like a little more conservative. And so maybe we'll look at some altcoins now, and I'll just do that same process because I have a list that I was supposed to get to that people had requested. And I do think in the general picture, though, I do think things are going along as planned. We've just been talking about this sort of like accumulation year, so we shouldn't get too worried about not like me not hitting my 35,000 target on Bitcoin it doesn't really change much, because that was just sort of like a reasonable place for me to see this rollover happen. And if it happens right here, then it doesn't really change much. It's just a question of like, when does the next base come in to set up the real bull market? Because I do think that this should probably become like a bigger, down the road, once we're in a bull, this will be like a massive W, especially on Ethereum where the range is a little tighter. But really, we're looking for something like this, right? And then like the next bull market will come after a big old huge W. So like this is the middle of that W right now forming. I thought it might be a little higher than it is. It's not I think I had reasonable reasons to think that. So unless this thing turns around pretty quick, though, I will say it's probably running out of steam fast. And with Ethereum already, they have lost, some key levels. It sort of like seems like the party's kind of over. Even just these 2 weekly candles here look horrible. It looks like we're about to make another low here this week. But anyway, like let's look at it. One, I'll start with Umfi because funny enough, there's so much red here on the screen. But Paul and I have both been talking about this one, and this is like the only strong one I have right now, I think. Uh, but this is a good example of like, okay, so knife catchers would have, I've deleted this wick. I don't see much reason to draw a fib off of that wick, so I just kind of skipped it. This is on Binance, but I'm not sure if that shows up elsewhere or not. But same kind of thing. I just, knife catchers would have been long from here from 78.6. Say you were knife catching 78.6, you would have been long here on November 7th at 391, and then we got up to 767. So not quite a double here, almost. But you'd actually have just been still, so you'd have been long this whole time, just sitting in here and basically not made much progress. You would have gotten close to a double, but you'd have been in this trade for a long time. So me personally, I'm kind of all through crypto, Bitcoin, and altcoins in general. I kind of like the idea of waiting for, I got my, I got my location. We've had decent location ever since back here. So we've been, bumping along this bottom here of the old, of the last range. And I just slowly waited for OBV to confirm right here, basically when the weekly W broke out. And then I had to wait even 2 more weeks till this red candle to get filled. And I didn't even get the best fill. You want to be like a sniper, you could have drawn a reloads on here and gotten filled lower in the tail. I just bought the weekly breakout level here at 373, but this one looks good. Is my it's like the only one that's green here. There's BNT, which is only up 0.7%, but look at all this red here. I mean, altcoins look pretty bad right now. And there's a lot of, remember we went through all the weekly W's in this list 2 weeks ago, and it's a good example of how this one did close above the weekly W level, which is nice, and that's a nice strong one. Whereas what's in, I think this AMP was one that most of them failed. So you could see this is a good example of how my reasons here. This is, waiting for extra confirmation would have paid here because there wasn't really good OBV on here. We had OBV trending down, no W's even yet. And so definitely no divergence. All we had was truthfully, we didn't even truly have location because we're actually just making new lows here. This is a tricky part about picking bottoms on newer issues is you don't have the last cycle to work with. So, we were technically making new lows here, so we didn't even have like a range to play. But my point here is we just kind of had a failed weekly W here. I suppose we did close higher than the weekly W breakout level here, but this one failed. Well, it hasn't failed yet. It just hasn't produced much. It's just come back down against the lows. So like if you want to buy against the lows here, the W is still active, but man, it doesn't have OBV support yet. So that this isn't a trade I've taken. I can't take that trade. So anyway, we had Umfi looks great and AMP doesn't look great. There's a lot of these failed weekly W's like BNT is holding in basically. I bought this one actually, and this is the one I was talking about. I kind of flubbed my OBV. OBV doesn't look great, so I don't expect this one to look so great. I kind of front ran my OBV here, but you can see the W's holding. So that one doesn't look too bad. What's like a bad one? I think like here, a lot of them look like this here in altcoins right now. This one we got OBV divergence and we had good location against the original low. And the W came in, but didn't actually close above the breakout level. And then it's just been weak since. And we actually even we made a new low past the right side of the W. So the W is still working, but it doesn't look great. And so this could be like in your plan. Like, do you wait for, what do you call a W? Do you call it anytime we break out here and even close below, or do you wait for a close above? These are the kind of things that when you're forming your plan, these are just additional confirmations that you might add or might not. I mean, I've kind of gone back and forth on this a little bit. I do consider this a W because it broke out, but I really like to see the strength above the, and I did buy this one actually. I bought this breakout. So I bought BNT, I bought Unfi, I bought this C98, but I hadn't bought, am I mixing up API 3 and C? I'm mixing those up. This one, they're almost the exact same, but I bought this one, not C98. I bought API 3. You can see it's like exactly the same, kind of failing. I did have my OBVWs coming in here, and then it sort of crapped out on me. Anyway, let's get into some requests here, because I'm just, the main point here is 2 weeks ago, we went through the weekly Ws. They were all coming in. I went through like all of these with the blue here were at least, most of them were Ws trying to come in, but most of them had at least strong OBV. And none of them have really played out except Umphi so far, or have held very well except Umphi. It's the only thing up here on this list, really. So I think our first this bottom seems to be failing and of course with Bitcoin coming off and stuff, it's not a huge surprise. So we might just have to wait for a new W to come in on these. But let me look to see what some of the one was XMR BTC, which I thought was interesting. Somebody asked about XMR versus Bitcoin. And I pulled it up and it looked really interesting. So like this could be a trade idea, would be to maybe buy some Monero with, or actually I want to use something with more history. I think I was looking at like, yeah, Poloniex is where I want to. Now trading altcoins against BTC is a whole other angle, like a whole other sort of tricky business that I don't even really recommend too much. I mean, now that you can trade most things against US dollar, I think it's really hard. It's adding an extra complexity to the whole process, right? But if you're sitting on Bitcoin and you don't, like I could see this kind of looks like a trade setting up here. I mean, just zoomed all the way back to like 2015, you can see the old W has been a key level here now. So, that's at 4,300 sats. And clearly we've based off of there now twice here in 21 and again later in 21. And those are W's there too. So we have W's all through here. And now we kind of have a little, it's sort of like a W coming in here. So I thought this one looked pretty interesting. OBV has a big W back here in this run up, but now we're just sort of trying to turn. So it's like a little early here, but I did think this was interesting. There's a little W in OBV, not divergence. And of course, drawing like locations and stuff here, like whether I go off here or here, we're still going to basically be in the same place here. But XMR is in a reload zone below 61.8. It's at a key, the old W breakout level is this higher green line at 54. And then the lower one at 43 is just kind of looming below. So like we might have to go down and test there again, but we've sort of based off that level and now we're Wing out here. So I kind of liked this. It looks kind of interesting to me. I think it would be better to wait for OBV to point up more strongly for me, but I could see just going in and, it looks like a trade. That's against BTC though. So, we'll see what happens. If Bitcoin shits the bed worse than it has right now, I don't know. Does that make XMR? I mean, in theory, it would have to move higher, but it's like sometimes it doesn't always. It's like sometimes it all goes down. It's like that's why it's hard to trade against Bitcoin. Which, to be fair, that's the way. In 2017, it's pretty much the only way I traded these altcoins. At that time, there wasn't really as much USDT and happening. It was a lot more common to be trading against Bitcoin, but I thought it was interesting anyway. It does look, I do like the idea of XMR in general. I've been kind of nibbling at it here and there, just sort of dollar cost averaging because I just wanted to have XMR. I think that, it's old school coin. I don't think it's going anywhere. It's been one that I like, but like on the US dollar chart, it looks, location's not super great because there's so much downside risk here. That's why I've just been taking like little nibbles as it comes through, comes down. But it technically broke out a weekly W with super strong OBV. That's like why I originally got interested in this back here. You could see the OBV divergence came in right there on the move to new lows. And now it's looking pretty M-ish for sure. Like it hasn't actually confirmed any of these M's. I suppose that one actually did just barely confirm, but is like trying to hang in there. It's just kind of finding support at 78.6. So I like this one for just nibbling in as it kind of finds its bottom. But again, to like not a really strong base here. But I liked it against Bitcoin. It looks interesting. And here it's got good location and great looking OBV. So anyway, XMR looks pretty interesting to me. And let me find the list of the other ones. There's like 4 or 5, and then I'll probably, well, there's 3. EFI on the 1 week. Oh, that's funny. This one's like, I guess it's on Qcoin. See, yeah, I mean, this, first of all, like my first thought here is there's not a lot of data, so it becomes tricky to do any analysis, like from the kind of thing that I'm looking for. OKX, I guess, has more. So that's good. So OKX looks like a better place to look at it. And again, too, like, so remember I was, because we have basically a lot of these trades, we're assuming one thing to, going back to sort of like building conviction and stuff. I'm assuming that like a lot of these are going through some sort of cycle where they ran up and then they came back down, and then I'm looking to buy against the old lows. And so I have like something to work with, that's a good location in itself, just buying against the old lows, because I do think we're going to range. In general, I'm thinking the market's in a big range, so it's going to hold the lows here. When you don't have that, all of a sudden location becomes much trickier. So it's like, how do you find location on an asset like this? And you can't use fibs, right? Because I can draw fibs. I could have been drawing fibs right here, but then we made new lows. So I don't have an old cycle to base my fibs off of. So I think using moving averages would be my next. For me, something like this is just pulling up like some sort of moving average system, the short and medium moving average, in this case, 13 EMA and 30 EMA, and waiting for a cross. That would be one way to determine a decent location. It's different than fibs, but like you're just trying to find a place where you think a bottom might be in. And so using those moving averages, looks like the trend is still down to me. So I'm not, I don't have a good location reason. I do have OBV divergence. So and maybe your plan says, new, like, I mean, this is more subjective, but you could say, well, like, this is good location to me because we've sort of been through the bear and now we're basing out, but you don't have like an objective reason there. You just have to sort of be like, well, down against the lows is enough. I suppose you could argue we're down against these lows, so you could draw fibs just off that range and say, okay, I'm going to take a shot against the lows here and assume it's going to hold these lows here. But that's tricky. So this is a different scenario. It's a little trickier. I think waiting for a W and a moving average cross are much stronger than just trying to step in here. But nonetheless, we do have like nice OBV divergence, which I like. You can see the W came in as we were making new lows. So that's a good indicator reason, or second reason, momentum reason. But and he's Del Moody saying he prefers to use like a log chart in this situation and then draw a trend line. Yeah, that's like, that'd be, let's see, I don't know if I know exactly what you mean, but I do like to use log charts too, but I assume, so like maybe draw a trend line off of there and wait for W's on the other side trend line. Seems fine. I mean, really, it's just, so, if you have to have something in your plan for that is all I'm getting at. So anyway, but for this one, anyway, I'd rather wait for weekly W. And I do see, this is what I think's happening in a lot of these, to be honest, is I see a head and shoulders that's slowly forming. And this is kind of how I see the whole altcoin market happening. And like, these moving averages will be crossed by the time we get into making this right shoulder. But I am seeing these a lot here. Of course, this could become a W if we can hold the lows here and break out, we'll have a W. So I think that's that's a possibility. Something like this, if it can hold the lows here, that then I would look for like that, pop up into the candle body's highs here, and then roll over again to make a head and shoulders. And that seems like a good, nice long bottom. Really early to say that, but I just keep seeing that. And then funny enough, like I see it in the crypto stocks like Coinbase, which I find this interesting actually. And I think this is good to watch for altcoin bottoms here too. Yeah. See, I already have it like drawn here, how we're basically, which by the way, a lot of these crypto stocks are coming off hard, and it's time to start getting interested in buying some of these. But I kind of see this as a potential scenario for like crypto here. Coinbase is sort of front, like leading. It's like the crypto stocks are sort of leading this potential head and shoulders here. Like you can see it there. You can see it on like Mara, maybe, I think. Yeah, you can see the exact same pattern on Mara, or like maybe MicroStrategy. I haven't looked at that one, but MicroStrategy looks different, but it's more like Bitcoin. Well, kind of sort of head and shoulders already that's come in. So maybe it's just it's Coinbase and Mara for sure. And then it's just something I've been seeing, and I kind of see it in those altcoins. But like that one I was just on maybe turns into that. You back up to the EFI. Yeah. So anyway, so this one, I'll just leave it at that. No, we don't have a really firm. We have like locations just down against the lows. We have OBV divergence. There's just no structure, and the moving averages haven't crossed yet. So I don't really like it. Me personally, going back to sort of my conservative approach, I would like to see this W come in. It's kind of an ugly looking W, but you get the point. And then try to buy the retest of that. That's sort of how I look at that. And by then, the moving averages probably will be crossing. That's how I would look at that. So another one is 1, which I don't know what that even is. Qcoin or Binance? I guess Binance probably. I guess see like this. So this one we can, we do have a range to work with. So I can, I can already tell, obviously we're way down against the lows, probably below 88.6. I'm going to ditch the moving averages and just, location's clearly good. We're all the way down against the lows, but we're still holding it. So as long as we're holding this low here, you can kind of think range still. Like we're going to basically base off of the old weekly W. I even like just kind of, that level there, which is clearly not holding at the moment. But, going back to like knife catching, that's not the worst area to be like a knife catcher, is against previous market structure. And of course, you would have gotten the bounce from 1430 to 28. So you would have just barely banged a double off here by 41 or 1438. So 28, 29 ish. Yeah. So it got up to 29. So you would actually gotten your, so knife catchers would have gotten rewarded here. But you can see what happened now. And so where we are now, we have a location. We have one reason. Second reason, I just see M's. I don't see any W's here. So, clearly we have like a big M in price, but like you can see the M and OBV came in there, and now we made another low, and currently OBV is making a new low essentially. So we're just making lower lows. So I think you're just way early here. And I mean, you also have some downside risk from 870 all the way down to a lot, actually, to 180. My fibs weren't in the exact right spot, but so there's still quite a bit of downside risk here. If this thing, it's just making new lows. We just lost, current lows here. So honestly, I think waiting for W's is always best. So wherever that comes in, you can buy then and not have to hold through this whole time. This could end up being like a power 3, which are interesting, but I've never vetted power 3s or traded them. It's just something we like, the ICT concept, and I've seen them play out on shorter time frames, but it's not part of my trading plan. But I guess I could, if we can, if we lose the range here and then get back inside of it, then you could start thinking about higher. That might be a bottom. But right now it's just I don't have my 3 reasons. So, and then I have one more there, ALCX, which I feel like we just looked at on Sunday maybe, but let's look at it on, I don't know, Binance probably. So here's another new one where we don't have previous cycle information, and it's also making new lows. So I think it's dangerous to call bottoms right here. We could have some sort of power three thing off of the equal lows if we get back above them. We have those equal lows there, but we'd have to get back inside. And right now we're just making new lows. So, and it looks like even this week we could easily, especially if Bitcoin looks kind of heavy here, it dumps a little bit. It's going to make a new low here. So I don't think you can argue that location's very good. I mean, I could pull up the moving averages, but they're very much pointing down and haven't even started like consolidating yet. So the trend's strongly down here, I would say. Even tested on that. The bulls tried to step up right here and just got rejected, and now we're just dumping. So very dangerous to buy something like this, in my opinion. Doesn't mean it can't just turn around and rip. I've seen it happen plenty of times, but I don't have reasons here. So if that happened, it would just be luck. If I just bought it here and it ripped, then I could only say that my only reason was luck. OBV is obviously M and out, kind of like there's an M there, no W's, making lower highs here. And so it's like you can argue there's a potential divergence, all the way back, which I like from back here. But we're still making new lows. So until we actually see a little W or something to suggest we've stopped, I don't know, this divergence isn't really in yet. So I think, again, here, letting these moving averages cross and then finding a weekly W around there is probably the approach for me. So anyhow, anybody else got something? That's all I got. I'm already at an hour and 11 minutes, so I'm not going to talk too much longer. I don't know if I did my best showing today. Feel like I was a little bit sort of rambly and off top. I mean, I had a point in my head, and then I don't know if I made it, which does have a tendency to happen with these shows where you're just like talking in your alone in a room to a bunch of cat profile pics. Nobody's got like a cat, actually. I don't know what Del Moody's picture is. I can't see because it's so small, but it looks interesting. And then everybody else is just letters. So you guys got to step up your YouTube profile pic game, Paul and Stefan. But nobody else is. I mean, it's pretty much just regulars in here, which is probably even like most of you guys don't need to hear me talk about fibs and stuff. But I think I do think the main, partly we're just like I go on here and talk about this stuff, and it seems just repetitive and like just kind of, it's like not a lot happens maybe like week to week. But the most important thing is just staying in the conversation. And the conversation right now is still just kind of like, well, we're like trying to carve out a bottom. We probably exhausted the first part of the year's rally now at this point. And it's like we have been targeting sort of like another buying opportunity sometime into the end of the year. And so it's like now's the time to get like, if you like this name, just have it on your list and wait. I don't see any reason to jump in here on something like this, especially when the larger climate of the whole risk on market's looking kind of iffy at the moment. And like, we're still trying to figure out if the stock market has any more juice in it to move higher. It's kind of looking pretty heavy. And then clearly like Ethereum and Bitcoin have sort of broken down. So like something like this, just be patient, wait for, I mean, if anything, like in this UMFI has the wind ahead of it now too, or in its face, because I mean, it's the only thing strong on my list right now. So like it does have all the reasons to take a trade in my opinion. But that doesn't mean that it still has to fight the broader market here. So it's going to be, so maybe this thing doubles here. Maybe we bang out a double here, but, some of the recent high flyers like OXT came right back down. So we're just kind of still in that market where if you can bang a double out, great. But these things have the wind in their face here. Like OXT was really strong a couple weeks ago. I don't know if it doubled off the lows or not quite. Or yeah, like almost. I mean, you would have had to catch the exact low here to get a double off, and it would have been close. But this is sort of the state of the market right here. But like this one's at least a little safer than that last one, because at least you have, you have Well, this one's kind of weird for location. I feel like there's more history. This is Coinbase. I bet you if we look at it on well, not really. It's making new lows. So I can't remember if OXT goes back beyond 2020 or not, but either way, we're making new lows here. But you can probably see better looking. And the moving averages are sort of at least trying to start crossing here. And then we have a weekly W, even though it's a little bit kind of, I mean, it's there. And we also have W's and OBV, big old huge W that's actually a divergence. So this one has a lot more reasons to be bottom to wind at their face or wind at their back. I'm saying the wind's at their face. So like, it's like harder to pump right now. Did I say that wrong? I think it's like when you look at things, everything's red here, right? Like it's like Unfi is going to have a harder time pumping in the face of Bitcoin, looking like, I mean, look at Bitcoin right here. It's just like, looks like it's ready to fall off a cliff, actually, at least down to the 25-2. So as long as like that's happening, I think it's gonna be hard for these things to launch is my point. So there's no real rush here. Like it's like this thing, see, this is that same kind of head and shoulders-y sort of thing too, by the way. That's what I think's happening here. So like, like even if we do catch any sort of kind of rally here, this was supposed to be like the summer rally. I do think like in October, November, December or something, this is probably where this is going to be a much better time to be loading up on altcoins than right this second here. So for the next little while, we might just be kind of just rambling on about these things. But the point is just trying to get your list together. Like if you like OXT, then certainly taking a nibble here is not the worst thing, but there's just not really a huge rush. I mean, another strong one was this LPT, and it's like this one I think is buyable. So I will at least end with like something buyable. Because this one, I mean, it does open this conversation of like, you don't have the old range to work off, so you're just kind of playing with the new range. But I mean, we did make a key low here, and now we've kind of power to 3'd it. So it's a little weird for like, you can't use fibs again for location, but nonetheless, we did get like OBV div come in. It confirmed here on the first pop that actually confirmed the weekly W here. So now we have weekly W bottom working with OBV divergence, and price is just coming back down into buyable levels here. So like whether you're the type of person that wants to just hit the W level, which is, I'm inclined to do. Can't remember if I actually bought the W breakout, so I don't think I have a level order working there, but I do think I put orders down lower. And if I didn't, I'd like to. But maybe you draw your reload zones. You can see Mountain Man's right here, 61.8 is just a little bit below where we are at 550, 548. And then I prefer to wait for 78.6 and 88.6 to try to, like I said, I already bought 506 was the level I bought here when it was breaking out. And I'm going to add here at 78.6 and 88.6. But this one, of all the ones that I've just shown, like, this is kind of more like Umfi. It actually has a base to work off now. So I do expect support to come in here. So I like hitting this, this is essentially buying this W. Very different conversation here than that last one, whatever it was called, where it was just grinding new lows. But still, nonetheless, this thing, maybe has to still take a long time to work itself out here while the rest of the market sets up to. But at least it has a base. So like that's one I like. And then actually OXT I like too in general. And I feel like there's one other good one. Well, Unfi I already talked about. Or AGLD is one I've been talking about a lot here that's doing the same thing. It's trying to get back down to the original W back here. And it already had strong OBV, and hopefully OBV maintains and can W out again. But you can see how it's just come back down into reload zones. And I actually did buy this level here at the 78.6, and then I have another order down here at whatever that is, 38 cents, 38.53 is the actual W level. So I got an order down there too to just try to buy that. And so this is kind of like that Bitcoin sort of dead cat bounce conversation, like Bitcoin did the dead cat bounce, and now is it going to come all the way back down here like this, which is sort of like the second buy opportunity in a bottom. You know, you get the bottom coming in. In this case, I did actually bang a double off here because I was in here buying against this W the first time back in here. And now we're just coming back down against it. And so I have reasonable, you know, I have a good reason to think that like their lows are going to hold and we're going to base out again sometime through here. And if we have to lose the lows, then I just have to wait for another W. But this is one of my sort of favorites for, it's more just favorite for fun. I don't really have, you know, I like the idea that it's only got 70 million coins out and it seems like it has like a kind of strong community around this like game thing that they're doing. And other than that, I don't know much about it. I just like it's a relatively low coin count and then everything else is just purely technical reason. I like that, you know, it just basically set up perfectly for me back here. You know, back here we had lower lows, OBV made higher lows, W confirmed like in the middle of the price W. We basically on that candle there, we confirmed a weekly divergence. And then at that point, it was like you could have bought this W, which I didn't do because I wasn't watching it then. But I could have seen just buying that breakout. You'd have had you know, that week to buy. And then of course the next week you could have hit that level again too. Really still wouldn't have gotten a double off until I did, but you know, waiting for the W to break out and then buying the pullback is always on the table. That's sort of my approach in general, and it's a little more conservative. And so now I'm just gonna, you know, add back. So anyhow, Del Moody saying LPT on PCs used to refer to a parallel communication printer port. Oh, really? Parallel communication. That symbol always pokes your inner nerd. That's cool. Well, anyhow, I don't know. Does anybody have anything else they want to look at really quick? Those I don't think I have any more requests. Let me look really quick, but no, that's it for what people asked about. But I suppose you know, if anybody had anything, they can throw it in here. Otherwise, I'll just wrap it up and I'll just I guess I will say that, you know, we are starting our training course, trader training program here in September, and we do already have a handful of people that are on board with that, and I think we're going to start kind of like second week in September, and it's essentially designed to just get you to like a swing trading kind of place. I mean, in my mind, it's designed to get you to a place where you can execute trades on your own. You know, whether you want to like continue on your journey and start day trading after that is up to you. But by the end of this program, you should have your head wrapped around building a trading plan that could work for something like a long-term investment plan, all the way down to like actually taking setups in the market, like probably on more of a swing trading kind of mentality. But really the setups wouldn't change that much. It's more, the only reason we're using like swing trading as like the cutoff is I think that sort of like scalping kind of becomes, it's like the same setups for sure if you want to use the same setups, but it's got a little bit more of like a emotional factor to it, and also a little bit more of just to show up and sit at your desk like for longer. You kind of have to dedicate yourself to specifically to scalping, and so that's sort of like a different animal. So we think that we can, you know, basically this program will teach you the beginnings of just getting involved and getting active as a professional trader, which, you know, you can be a professional trader and still have a full-time job. Many of us do that. So I'm not really talking about only, you know, when I say professional trader, I don't mean like just the time you're spending or if it's your only source of income. It's more if you're putting into if you're putting into practice the business of trading, you're treating it like a small business and you're following a plan and you're executing a plan and you're identifying when you don't follow your plan and correcting those mistakes. That's kind of what a professional trader does, in my opinion. So, and you put yourself in a position where you can take, you know, a series of the same trades and not focus on the outcome of any particular trade, but instead focus on like, did I take 100 trades that all have the same rule set? And what happened at the end of that? Like, have I defined an edge that can make make a profitable scenario for me over a series of trades. And, of course, you don't have to be right all the time. That's the secret to trading. It's not about being right all the time. It's just about defining an edge that can create profit within that edge. So if you're only right 30% of the time, like if your win rate's 3 out of 10, then you better be banging out some pretty decent risk reward trades to be profitable. Whereas like if you're right 8 out of 10 times, then your risk reward can be lower and you'll maintain profitability. So you got to find the sweet spot that works for you. And if you've never done any of these exercises, like maybe go do an experiment, like go and buy 10 W's, make a simple plan where I'm going to just go and every time I see a W, I'm going to buy the breakout level and I'm going to risk to the lows and I'm going to sell it 2 to 1 and just see what happens. Just get yourself into the habit of taking the trade and then sticking to the rules and then seeing the outcome over a series of trades. And so that's what we're doing in this program, is just giving you the tools that you need to do that. And then more importantly, because anybody can sort of learn all these tools, but more importantly, it's like the support to like actually jump in and execute, because that's sort of the tricky part, like is actually being able to do this without sort of breaking the rules, without, losing your discipline. Oh shit, is everything dumping or what? People are freaking out. Oh yeah, look. Yeah, so that's interesting. Like Bitcoin, I mean, Bitcoin is just hanging on right here, but I mean, it is coming into key support here. We'll just have to see what happens as it FUs this low, which I mean, I think I was just saying that it seems like they would take that low out before they bounce it. Stefan's saying we are short. I'm not short because, of course, I have issues with trading crypto now, like I mean, I don't have a place to really be short in Bitcoin at the moment, other than the traditional markets, which kind of brings up its own sort of, like issues with trading Bitcoin through the traditional proxies. But anyway, so back to my little course spiel is, we're basically creating a package that both teaches you the sort of basic technical analysis and the basics to building your own plan, and like a bunch of examples of how we trade. And then we're also going to, the program essentially becomes like a year-long endeavor. Like there's going to be 3 months of like solid sort of curriculum where it's like you work through the curriculum that we've built, and then every week there'll be a live stream with Paul and I in it, just that's basically getting down into the details and answering everybody's questions. And that's for 3 months, but really then there's a whole month of just execution after that, where you're going to basically be responsible for reporting to us what you're doing. And we are going to expect you to produce things like trading plans and trading logs that show you're taking trades, and, not with real money, or at least not with lots of money at first. But that'll be the 4th month, so then 4 months into it, you should be pretty well versed in what you need to do. And then for 8 more months, you'll just be part of the group, sort of sharing trade ideas with everybody, and also kind of evaluating other people's trade ideas against your own plan, and maybe taking those trades or maybe not. But, you'll be working with other professional traders just to sort of refine your game. And that's that's for 8 more months, which isn't technically part of the school program per se, but that's just included in this whole thing. So it's definitely, the goal is definitely to get you trading. It's not to just to teach you endless technical analysis, because of course we could learn, there's so many tools you can study and learn, and different approaches and different ways people have traded. You can look into different sort of gurus or whatever you want to call them. But I would argue, like, if you kind of learn the way a lot of us trade very similarly, and a lot of a lot of the same kind of setups even, we basically many people in the group focus on a lot of similar setups, where they might vary a little bit from person to person because somebody's figured out something that speaks to them or that they really like. But in general, it's kind of the same ideas. And if you learn those first and can execute those and actually take 100 trades with one of those setups and see the outcome, and then I think you can go and open up the rabbit hole of like different indicators and different, whatever, like different approaches. And so we're basically going to just teach you our process and then get you working that. And then you can always, of course, trading is a journey that you'll probably, if you stick to trading and it's something that you want to continue going forward, you'll find that it becomes like a lifelong endeavor. There's always something to get better at, or always something to refine, or a different setup to try, or whatever it is. But we just want to get you into a place where you actually can show up on your own and take trades with your own conviction and your own plan. And so that's the goal of the course. And so, like I said, that starts in September. And, I did add a Discord link to the bottom of this video. So if you want to join our Discord, you can use that link. It expires in like 7 days, but feel free to join, our free room on Discord and just kind of jump in and see what we're about and ask questions. And if you are interested in the school, you can reach out to Paul and I through there, either Paul or me. You can also find us on Twitter. I'm Double Uses on Twitter, and then Paul is just search for Crypto Traders Arena and follow us on Twitter there. Or x.com. At what point do you actually start saying x.com? Because that sounds weird to me. I'll probably say Twitter for the next 20 years. And I'll just be like an old man calling them tweets, and people are going to be like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? X.com is where we get our rations. Like everything's going to be delivered through x.com. Like we'll get our like basic income from x.com. Anyhow, I will add that school is so we're basically charging $990 for the school, but it includes a year of the membership to the group. And it also includes our THG indicator for life, which is a trend following indicator that can easily, just on its own, a trading plan formed around the THG could be wildly profitable. Universal basic Doge. Yeah, that's what we're gonna all get, like, but the funny thing is we'll get like 1 million Doge a month because it's gonna be like worthless. And so everybody will get their 1 million Doge, and you can just buy like emojis with it, and we'll just be starving with no water, but have plenty of emojis. It's a beautiful future we have ahead of us. But yeah, so anyway, and Paul added in the comments here, join our Discord and ask to be verified, because we had, just like everybody on Discord, we have huge spam issues when you just open up the channel to anyone. And so we had to implement a verification process. You just got to pop in and just say, hey, and that you want to be verified. And of course, that's our, in our general lounge, we just, we post more like longer term ideas usually and stuff like that. If you really want to get into like the day trading and sort of swing trading and more trade ideas on a daily basis, that is on more of our premium side of the group, where we do a lot of live streaming, just live trading. Like today, Stefan was live trading for the New York session and did frame a short, framed some shorts in altcoins that seem to probably be working really well now. And actually, I think Paul just posted one of our shorts from not our shorts, but one of, I guess I could say his. He looks like he's getting long Bitcoin, and I don't know if you were short. This is Paul's trading activity for today. This is a 15-minute chart. Looks like he did get short right on against the high here. And then now he's got his SFU long here filled, so nice. And this is the kind of stuff you see on a daily basis in our trading room, is just more like 15-minute chart type stuff. But yeah, so anyhow, check us out if you're interested in any of that. And of course, if you don't want to take the school, totally fine. And, I think you can learn a lot on your own, and we'll also be happy to help you just in any way we can. So if you want to pop in and just ask questions, I'll try to answer them if I can. And really, like, I think if the school is for people that want to really jump in and not waste time just chasing rabbit holes, Because like, if you don't know what to focus on, obviously trading can just become like an endless rabbit hole of YouTubers and stuff like that. And I think there is a way to simplify the process and expedite the learning process so that you can kind of skip a lot of that nonsense. And you can always go back to studying indicators later. It's just more important that you learn the process of like, of like, actively trading and building a series of trades that you can analyze and reflect on and identify where mistakes were made, identify where edges are found, and basically refine your plan down to something that works for you that you can just go on and execute over time and take advantage of a little bit of compound growth. So anyway, looks like they're all bragging about their wins now. People are just talking about, oh yeah, OP was one of the shorts from earlier today, and that's a 5-hour trade. Nice. It is hard for me to sit here and watch you guys trade crypto because I don't have anywhere to trade to day trade crypto now. It is what it is. All right. Well, anyway, that's enough of my ramblings. Fucking hey, I feel like I'm just winging it, but hopefully I said something of use, and I do really mean that. Like, if you, I mean, don't abuse me, but if you just want to ask me questions, if I can answer them, I will. Just pop in Discord and feel free to message me, and I'll get back to you within a day at least. And if it's something that I can't help you with, I'll just I'll be truthful about that and just say I can't help you. But if it's something that I can at least point you in the right direction on, give you an idea of like a better path going forward or something like that, I'll happily do that. I mean, I just know what I know. It's not like I'm I do sometimes think I'm an okay teacher, and then sometimes I'm like, I don't know. But I think over time I've been, not just in trading, I've got some teaching experience in the past, and I think I'm an okay person for explaining things. And if I can explain something to you in a way that helps you, I'm happy to do it. So feel free to reach out to me. And of course, if it ever got too much for me, I'll just have to tell people that I can't get to all the messages. But for the meantime, there's not tons of people around, so it's probably a good time to pop in and use our group. And I'm not the only one that would, if you just want to post a chart in the chat and ask if, what people think, there's probably going to be somebody that can be in there answering. And anybody with like the gladiator icon is somebody that's actively trading in the markets and at least has an understanding of our general process and is implementing a trading plan, stuff like that. So any of those people that would answer, I think you can count on it being a reasonable response. And then of course, at the end of the day, you kind of need to just take other people's opinions and reshape them to work for you. Like, no, you can't really just blindly follow everybody's opinions. So hopefully you can at least just weigh other people's opinions and make your own decision, because ultimately you're going to have to do that anyway for trading. I don't think you can just rely on others. At some point you got to just do it for yourself. So anyhow, I think I'll call it a day right there, and I'll be back on Sunday with Paul to go through our altcoin plan. And I will also be streaming just other random stuff during the week for our premium members. And then Paul will be making his daily plan videos for the public every day around the London session. So if you just want to get an idea of levels for the day, usually talking about crypto and like the sort of futures market, maybe gold and stuff like that, like in S&P, gold, oil, perhaps, those kind of things that he's trading. And then also usually he goes through like some of the THG trades and strong altcoins. So if you're just interested in levels, that's a good show to watch. It's usually only about 20 minutes. He's pretty good at just being concise. And so, yeah, that's kind of our offering at the moment. We do the altcoins on Sunday, crypto on Tuesdays with me. And then every day he's talking just sort of levels, daily setup, daily plan levels. And then also on Tuesdays during the London session, not necessarily every week, I don't think, but I do think that Stefan is doing live scalping during the London session for YouTube. Like he did it today. So there is a lot of content we're making just for the general public. Best thing to do is just join our Discord so you can kind see what, what we're doing, because we don't really have like a great calendar right at the moment, or a great way to just compile all these shows, because we are still just growing as a group and just figuring it all out as we go. So anyhow, I think that's enough for me. I wish you guys a good rest of your day. I know it's late for a lot of you on the other side of the world. I will talk to you all soon. I'm just going to hit our little disclaimer thing and remind everybody that I'm just saying my opinion, and I'm not telling you guys what to buy. I'm just trying to give you guys an idea how I approach it. And I will tell you what I'm buying. You can take that for what you were, for whatever. And so now I'll just say goodbye, and I will talk to you all soon. So take care. See ya.